Hey guys, it's Melanie. As promised, this is my Homeworx candle empties for the month of October. If you missed my just other candle empties, they're sitting over here. I was gonna lift that up, but I'm not going to. If you missed the other candle empties, so the Bath & Body Works Yankee Candle Scentsy stuff that I finished for October, I will link that video down below, so you can go check that out. The reason that I separated the Homeworx empties was because I had quite a number of them, and because Homeworx is a slightly newer brand, and I know that there have been some varying degrees of performances of the candles for some people, I thought I would spend a little bit more time on just the Homeworx stuff by itself, so I can tell you what my experience was with the ones that I've been burning so far. So I have 6 candles here that I finished during the last month, and I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts. Before I get into it, I actually already recorded this video, but then there was just this huge, ridiculous candle drama that came up after I already pre-recorded that video. So I'm redoing this video now just to put in here that I don't here's the thing, guys. I don't understand this weird thing with the candle community and drama within it. I don't get it. We are a bunch of grown-ups technically, and there just seems to be a lot of weird back and forth stuff that happens, and right now Homeworx is kind of a hot topic for a lot of people. And the bottom line is this, like, what I think about all this stuff doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna tell you guys what my opinion is because it doesn't matter. I'm telling you guys what my experience is with the candles that are either sent in PR or that I purchase, because I have certainly purchased a fair amount myself. But yes, I do get the PR. No, I don't sugarcoat anything. This just seems to be such a huge deal for people, and I don't understand it. If you don't like somebody, don't watch them. If you don't trust somebody, don't watch them. If you don't enjoy their reviews or the way that they do their reviews or the way that they describe scents, or what, if you don't like the way that they talk, just don't watch. It's like super simple. So, yeah, that's just, I want to kind of just leave it there. I happen to really be enjoying the Homeworx candles, so I personally intend on seeing what is coming down the road, and if I continue to get PR, great. If I don't, then here's a fun fact. I can buy things that I want. So if I want something, I will buy it. I am certainly appreciative of PR that is sent, because it is nice to be able to share things with you guys that I may not otherwise think to purchase on my own, because we all know that I have very specific tastes, and getting PR means that sometimes I get things that aren't in my quote-unquote wheelhouse. So it's nice to be able to even tell you guys thoughts on that stuff, because I have one candle for sure in here that I really thought I was going to like completely dislike, and I would have never picked up myself, but because it was sent, I was able to try it, and it turns out I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it in a very specific area of my house, but I ended up liking it. So it's nice for that. But the thing is, if I really want something, I'm going to buy it, because that is just what I do. You guys, I work really hard. I do set aside money for playthings, like the makeup that I buy, the home decor stuff, the candles, like all of that stuff. I have a budget for myself, and I spend that money on what I feel like. And once that money runs out, well, guess what? Then no more fun stuff, right? Like, I try to be very like just reasonable about everything. And again, if I continue to get PR, I don't know what they are doing with it going forward, if they're going to revisit it, I don't know. It's totally up to the company. Whatever they think is best, they will obviously choose to do. All I know is that I'm gonna tell you guys what my experience has been so far. So let's leave it at that and get into it. All right, I'm going to be starting with one of my favorite scents. Now, this is actually a 3-wick from last year. And you'll kind of see here where last year there was a little bit of a struggle with the burn of some of the candles. I still loved them, but there was a struggle to pull out sometimes. And admittedly, part of the problem here was that the last couple of burns, I did not let this pull out completely. So with last year's 3-wick candles, there definitely was a need to burn for a minimum of 4 hours in order to get an even pool. It just took a long time. I love this scent, by the way, you guys. It just took a long time. And there have been a couple of days where I lit this, and then like 2 hours later, I needed to go pick Stella up from school. Well, every time that I walk out of the house, I have this ritual, because who wants their house to burn down potentially if your cat knocks over a candle or something? So I blow out all the candles, whether they are completely pulled out or not. And I knew that I shouldn't have lit this candle, but I was like, I want to smell it. And so I did get kind of a messed up burn there, but for the most part, it burned almost completely down. In fact, enough so that I can see like there's just a tiny, tiny layer of wax over the wick clips at the bottom. So yeah, last year's candles, and especially the spring and summer ones from this last year that were 3 wicks, burned completely down to where you can, some of my candles didn't even have any wax left in the bottom. It just disappeared. This one, obviously not so much. So I think there were improvements that were made from last fall to the spring releases, and then from the spring releases to the summer releases as well. So I feel like Harry has been trying some different things, and you know, that leads us into the rest of these being 4-wick candles. So these were all released for the fall. This one, I guess, is technically a holiday candle because it's the pumpkin gingerbread, which came with the glazed gingerbread, and gingerbread is typically always a holiday scent, right? So I finished this one, and you'll be able to see here, this one burned really clean, and you can see that there are only tiny little nubs left. Hopefully you can see that. This extinguished itself. So what is different though is that I've noticed with the fall candles, they're not burning completely through the wax. Like all the wax isn't dissipating out of these. It seems like the wick clips are a little bit higher, so they extinguish earlier than they did on the previous candles. I'm trying to like make sense. I think that makes sense. I think that's what's happening here. In the end, is it a bummer to have wax left in the bottom? I mean, for some, it's not for me. I kind of figure like by the time that I get to this point, I got what I wanted to out of the candle, and I'm ready to move on to the next one. It's no big loss for me. I know there are a lot of people that would break this wax out and they would melt it. Did my dog come in? Hi. Hello, sir. How are you? This is Mr. Kong. I'm sure you guys know who he is by now. But yeah, so some people break this out and they'll melt it, which I think is a great thing to do if you really want to. But for me, like, I feel like I got what I wanted out of this candle. Now, for wicks, the wax is going a little faster than normal. So they say that you get anywhere from 30 to 55 hours. 30 is like, I've never had one of these only last 30 hours. There's no way. But I'm not getting 55 hours, whereas last year, I think they had the same range, right? 35 to 55 hours. Last year's, I think I was getting probably closer to 55 hours. This year's, probably 48 to 50, somewhere around there. There is a slight reduction in the number of hours I've noticed. I do finish some candles up just a little bit faster by like the equivalent of maybe like 1 burn or something. And for me, most times a burn for me on one of these candles, because they're 4 wicks now, I don't have to leave them lit for 5 hours. A burn will be somewhere between 3, maybe 4 hours, something like that. So, anyway, but there you go. I loved this candle, and if Harry brought this back next year by itself in a duo, hands down, repurchase. The only thing is, I am not picking up another duo this year because it is with the glazed gingerbread, and that smells like a very true gingerbread candle, and I don't personally dig super gingerbready scents. This to me actually smelled like the pumpkin bread that I make. I love this. If it comes back, it will come home with me next year for sure. So that was a winner. Let's talk about this one. Okay, this one caused a lot of controversy. This was the cranberry pumpkin cake. First off, it sold out so quickly, so a lot of people were like, what the heck, man? I really wanted it. And then it would pop up periodically in the as-is section, but then it would instantly sell out again. I feel like Harry didn't make enough of this one. Maybe he underestimated the popularity of a scent like this. I really like this one, but you will see that the last little bit, I struggled a little bit with the burn during the last 2 burns that I had. And with this one, it's because of the wick clips. Like, I can see that they are really high. And so that ended up leaving quite, not a ton of wax, but there's a little bit of wax left at the bottom. I wish I could, here, all right, I should have probably done this before the video, but you can see here, I just kind of peeled the label up. You can see there's a little layer of wax left there at the bottom, right? Like, it just goes to right here. So not a ton, but there's definitely more than any of the other candles that I'm gonna show you. And I think with this one, it's the wick clips. They're just up really high. I can see the metal, and it comes far above that wax there on most of these clips. So this one was made in the US, by the way, as was this. And then this is last year's, and last year's was made in the US as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I still love this scent. I have 2 backups of it. I'll probably save them both for next fall. I hope Harry brings this one back again as well, because I really enjoy it. It's delicious. It's a very nice gourmand scent. You definitely get the cranberry notes from this one. You definitely get the that note of pumpkin. There is some nutmeg in here that comes through. It's a little spicy, almost like a spice cake. It's very unique. I don't have anything that smells quite like this. It shares some similarities with cranberry pumpkin from Bath & Body Works, but not really a ton. They're both just really nice, delicious cranberry scents. And if you liked that one, you would probably like this. But yeah, the last couple burns on that one weren't super great, but up until I got to that point, it burned fine. I never had an issue. Sorry, there's stink bugs that make our Ring camera go off, so I'm hearing my phone jingle. I never had like puny wick syndrome. Is that what I was talking about? Puny wick syndrome with that one. The flames weren't as high as some of my other Homeworx, but it didn't affect the throw or the performance at all. And that's just generally across the board with these candles this year. I've noticed slightly lower flames, but it's not having an effect on the throw or the strength in my house. I do think there is something with airflow though. I know that Harry had some of the people who received candles that weren't performing super well. He had those candles shipped back to him so that he could test them in his house, and apparently they performed differently there. So I really appreciate him trying to at least figure it out. There's always room for improvement with anything. I mean, every company can improve, right? Like, we're all, well, most of us, some of us love everything that Bath & Body Works does, but I've been pretty disappointed in them, which is disappointing overall because Bath & Body Works candles are so easy to get a hold of, right? Like, I have a Bath & Body Works like 5 miles from my house. It's so convenient to just go there with my coupon and not have to pay for shipping and all this other jazz, and they usually have all these sales and stuff, but I'm not gonna continue to buy a bunch of stuff there if half the time I end up just having to crock it because it is either sooting like crazy or it smells like kerosene. Okay, back to Homeworx. Autumn Pinecone. This was a huge surprise for me, you guys. I did not think I was gonna like this candle. This was one of those situations where I'm so glad that I got the PR, because as much as I loved Harvest Leaves, I think it would have been hard for me to justify with this coming in it if I didn't have a chance to burn it and grow to really love it. I love this scent now, you guys. This one had an interesting last burn. This had the least wax left in it, if you can see. One of the wicks just kind of kept hanging on, and so a little bit more wax is gone there. This had a really good burn. I had this in my entryway. It was strong, same strength start to finish. Flames were consistent, not the highest, but not the lowest. The only thing that I did with this one that I don't want to say that I regret it, but so I used the lid. You can see here that there's some like little scorches, I guess, on the lid. I used the lid to put the candle out. I know that that's what Harry recommends, but I think I've discovered that for me personally, I don't like that. With some of the candles, it doesn't necessarily trap the smoky smell, but I do kind of get a waft of like blown out candle smell when I first lift the lid off. And then like, I think mentally I can still kind of smell it in the wax. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this, even though that's what you're supposed to do. I prefer to, a lot of times what I'll do, and I don't recommend this because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and then you're going to try it and you're going to make a mess and you're going to be like, ooh, stupid Melanie. I will take the candles and I will hold them and I will like drown the wicks by doing this very carefully, obviously, or be a smart person and get a wick dipper. I should do that. But yeah, so I prefer to do that. And I don't do it after for the first two burns because there's way too much wax in there. I'll just blow them out at that point. But subsequent burns, I can just do this and then be done with it and light her up. Anyway, I love this scent. I have like 4 backups of it because I bought 4 of the TSVs myself. So love it. This is the one here that I was mentioning in the beginning of the video that I would have never bought because turns out that being a florist has made me not enjoy the smell of flowers really anymore. Which is, I know it's backwards. I'm aware. People will leave comments. They're like, I don't get it. You're a florist. You should love flowers. They're beautiful and yeah, they smell good, but I smell flowers all the time, you guys. They're just not exciting to me anymore. I prefer baked goods. That's my like, you know, that's what I love. Anyway, fall chrysanthemum. I didn't burn this in my house. I burned it outside in my backyard. I'm not even kidding you guys. We are really lucky in this house. The former owners, well, one of the former owners redid the backyard, and I mean, they poured an insane amount of money into that backyard. So we have this incredible like little oasis out there that has a covered patio with a huge stone fireplace. It's amazing. I love our backyard. It is the reason that we chose this house. And we hang out there year round. It's cold outside and it's raining, but we still hang out outside. We just light the fire, and my husband, of course, had to put a TV up out there, so we'll watch TV out there some nights when it's cold. But anyway, I had this outside and I loved it outside. It's a great outside scent because it smells like friggin' chrysanthemums. It smells like mums. It smells like the mums that I have on my doorstep. By the way, this year I went with some maroon ones, so very similar to these in the picture. Yeah, it's a very outdoorsy smell, and every time that we had people over, which we do quite frequently, they were like, your backyard smells amazing. And I'm like, that's because I have this Homeworx candle in it. I loved it outside. I would never burn a scent like this inside, and I probably wouldn't repurchase it, to be totally honest, but it was really fun to have. And during the summer, I actually had the sea breeze candle outside, and people, when they came over, they were like, it smells like a beach here, you know? Like, they loved it. So yeah, that was fantastic to be able to try that, because otherwise I would have never. And then lastly, pumpkin caramel corn. Again, this came from the TSV. I am on the last legs of my harvest leaves, so you'll see that in the November empties, but I probably have 1 or 2 more burns, and I didn't want to carry it upstairs if I didn't have to, but that one's doing great too, by the way. Like, I haven't had a performance issue with that one either, and you guys know that's one of my favorites. Pumpkin caramel corn, I didn't think I was gonna enjoy because I thought it was gonna be too cloyingly sweet. I love bakery scents, I don't love cloying scents. This is delightful, you guys. It was so nice. I will say that the very last burn, like the last burn, I did notice that there was a slight change in the scent to where it went to not burnt popcorn, but like well done popcorn. It didn't smell burned because it still had that kind of caramel corn sweetness, but yeah, it did change a little bit, but not up until the very last burn. And it wasn't like gross or anything, and it didn't make me blow it out. I just let it finish, and again, there is a little bit of wax left in the bottom there. These TSV candles were made in Vietnam, so it seems like the trios of candles that Harry is coming out with are coming from Vietnam, and the duos seem to be made in the US. I don't understand the distinction or why some of these are farmed out. I don't really have an understanding of that. Has to be a business decision of some kind. I would obviously prefer that they're all made in the US because there's a little bit less of a carbon footprint. But yeah, anyway, back to this. I really like this one too. Out of my subsequent sets, I might consider gifting one of these. Like, if I knew a family member really loved this, I would probably gift them one, but the remainder of what I have is all mine. So yeah, anyway, I really enjoyed this, and the only issue I had was towards the end when that smell changed a little bit, but it was only the very last burn. So in conclusion, so far what I have burned from these, they're mostly fall candles, I've had good luck. I am happy with the money that I have invested in the candles that I've purchased. I've reviewed both the Townhouse, Apple Orchard, and Pumpkin Patch sets. Love those. I'm going to get backups of those. Yeah, like I'm very pleased with the money that I've spent myself. Hopefully you guys are. If you're not, if you feel like your candles are not performing, I hope you are aware that you can send them back to QVC. And if something is faulty, like if the candle is not performing, there is a problem with the burn, contact QVC. If it's a faulty candle, they will pay for the return shipping. So yes, if you just get it and you're like, I don't like this smell, I want to send it back, yeah, then you have to pay the return shipping. But if you have a faulty candle, you can send that back to QVC. So just know that. I feel like that's something that people are like, they're maybe just not aware of, but you can. So just call QVC, call their customer service. You know, I mean, I have my beef with QVC and their kind of high shipping prices and not combining things, even though sometimes they'll send me things in the same box, and that just annoys me even more. I'm like, you couldn't combine this shipping in any kind of way, but whatever. It's QVC, but overall, I'm pleased with what I have burned so far. I'm excited to start lighting up some of the holiday candles now that we're going into November. I'll be reviewing those scents for you guys, so that is to come. And yeah, So let me know if you have any questions. I'll link these candles down below. I don't typically do that for candle empties because I just don't want to take the time to, but I'll do that for these. You can go read up a little bit more about them yourself and then, yeah, make a decision whether you want to purchase them or not. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye.